Today we're going to create a bar chart with error bars in Excel 2013. Bar charts are helpful figures for presenting categorical data and numerical data together. The bar in a bar chart often represents the mean or average. We use one bar for each category or group we want to compare. So if you have the averages of 3 different groups you want to compare, you'll need to create a figure with 3 bars. In today's example, we're going to examine how leaf width, a numerical variable, varies between sites in high light areas versus sites in low light areas. We'll first create a bar chart of the mean leaf width of leaves from high and low light sites. Then we'll add error bars around the means for each of those categories to show how variable the data are. First, open up Microsoft Excel and navigate to the worksheet where your data are stored. In the example today, we have our raw data on the left side, and we have our means and standard deviations of each group on the right side. If you haven't already calculated those means and standard deviations for each group, pause the video now and go ahead and calculate those. Now, to create a bar chart, select the column headings that represent your categories, including the means. Don't include the standard deviations yet. Next, click Insert tab on the menu bar at the top of the screen. Under Charts, select Column Chart, and then Column here on the 2D column area in the upper left. A graph will appear on your worksheet next to your table. Notice that the column headings are used as the bar labels in the x-axis. Now keep in mind that Excel calls these graphs with vertical bars as column graphs and graphs with horizontal bars as bar graphs, but most people just refer to them as bar graphs. You'll notice some new tabs or options appear on the menu bar when your graph pane is active or clicked on, such as Design and Format. The Design tab allows you to add chart elements, change the layout, and even change what data the graph is referencing. The Format tab allows you to make various other changes to the look of the graph. We will focus primarily on Add Chart Element, but feel free to explore the other options as well. One important thing before we go on. If you deselect your chart, the menu options will change. So make sure your chart is always active or selected when trying to modify it. The graphs that Excel give you by default are often inadequate and have extra stuff that you don't need, but then omit things you do need, such as access labels. So we're going to change that now. To add access labels, click on Add Chart Element under the Design tab. You can also click that blue plus sign to the right of the graph if you want. Then go down to Axis Title, click Primary Horizontal, and then highlight the text and add your own chart title. Now, go back to Add Chart Element and do the same thing, this time for the vertical axis. And of course, don't forget your units. You'll see mean appears at the top of the figure title. Typically, we don't need a figure title if we include a figure caption, which you should always be doing if you're making figures for a scientific paper or report. So let's delete that. Go to Chart Element, Chart Title, then click None to remove it. If you have a figure legend on a graph, you can also remove that because in this case we won't need one for a bar chart. If you do have a legend that you need to remove or even add in some cases, then just navigate to the same area, legend, and ensure none is checked, or you can add it to the right, left, or wherever you need to. So again, for a bar chart, we don't need a legend, so we're going to leave it off. So keep in mind, if you wanted to, you could also click on the title and delete it using the backspace key. Just be careful when you're deleting elements from your graph, because if you click the wrong thing and hit delete, you might erase your entire graph. So a handy trick though to recover that, if you need to, you can always use the undo key up here and undo any accidental mistakes. You can also use the keystroke shortcut for undo, which is holding down Control and then hitting Z. We now need to add error bars to the graph. This will allow readers to visualize the variability or spread of the data around the mean for each group. Our error bars will represent the standard deviation of each group. Please pay careful attention to these steps, because this is where most people make mistakes. Go up to the Design tab, click Add Chart Element, and then click on Error Bars, but be careful not to select any of the pre-calculated standard error percentages or standard deviations that Excel offers. They often do not calculate it correctly. Instead, click on More Error Bar Options. You should see the Format Error Bars sidebar up here on the right side. Use the default option for displaying the error bars, so both above and below the mean. And then scroll down to the bottom where you see the option for custom. Click on that box, then click on Specify Value. Under the Custom Error Bar box, delete the existing entry for the positive error bar value. This is going to be the bar that appears above your mean, or top of your blue bar. So we'll delete that. Then click this little box here, which allows you to then interact with your worksheet. Highlight both standard deviation values. Click the box again to go back. And now we're going to do the same thing for the negative error bar, or that bar that's going to be below your mean. Click on the box, highlight the values, close, and then hit OK. You can now see that the error bars have been added. If your error bars look offset, or they look weird in some way, there was probably an error during this custom error bar option. I encourage you to repeat the instructions very slowly and ensure that you're clicking on the correct cells when referring to your standard deviations. Hope that was helpful. I'll see you all next time.